Hi, fellow Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine with another unboxing video, and this time it's one of those little, tidy but essential clamshell box sets from Cherry Red Records, and this is H&E imprint for Cherry Red, and it is Mick Ralphs, and the box set's called On the Run from 1984 to 2013. So let's have a look inside the box and I'll tell you what I think at the end of the unboxing. So this is Mick Ralphs, On the Run, 1984 to 2013, clamshell box, H&E Records from Cherry Red, with 4 CDs. Inside, all the tracks are on the back, as you just saw, are the discs. This is the first one, Take This. So they've lots of extra tracks on this one, by the way. Basically, they're facsimiles of the original single albums, if you remember seeing these at the time. And the last one, Live, the musician. And then a small booklet, which is really nicely done. Lots of respect for Mick and all the track titles. And they've taken the original, what would have been the text on the back of the albums at the time, or the photos that were included, and put them all together. So it's nice to have this little bit of extra information as well. So that's the box, Mick Ralphs, On the Run, 1984 to 2013. So that's Mick Ralphs, On the Run, 1984 to 2013. And it's great that box sets like this exist to give you an overall picture of an artist, especially from a part of their career that many of you may not be as familiar with as some of their bigger stuff, like for Mick's, for example, will be Mott the Hoople and Bad Company, and even his time with Dave Gilmour. So what are my thoughts on this? Now, normally I'll say things like, could you start here? And I nearly always say, yes, you could. In this case, I'm going to say, maybe not. This is, if I say it's for completists, that will also make some of you think, oh, it's not essential. What I'm trying to say is, if you want to check out Mick Ralphs' guitar playing, his career, then there are other places to start first, perhaps Mott the Hoople, the Mental Train set. That might be a bit excessive for some of you, but you know, Brain Capers, Wildlife, and Bad Company, Straight Shooter, and Dangerous Age, you know, which is the Brian Howe era of Bad Company, but also where Mick Ralphs really came into his own and his guitar playing came right to the fore. And I remember one of my friends saying, God, Mick Ralphs is really playing his butt off on this. You know, never heard Mick Ralphs play like that before. Now that does segue into this set, but not necessarily where you might think. Now the first solo album, Take This, which is this one, which I mentioned in the unboxing, I remember this coming out, and it came out obviously in 1984. You've got bands like Rat, Europe, Bon Jovi, Dokken, you know, Iron Maiden. Everything was rock centric, and this comes out with this black and white picture of Mick looking, it felt to me a little bit lost, and I remember picking it up and putting it back down again. Bad Company had stopped. I wasn't really sure what Mick was doing, and I didn't buy it. Mick Ralphs hasn't got the strongest voice in the world. These vocals are lovely, they're beautiful, they're soft. And he says it himself in the sleeve notes that, you know, wish he'd been a better singer. But that isn't what takes away from this. The great songs, All It Takes, Hey Baby, Fast Travelling Man, and there are 10 outtakes on this. A lot of them are called working mixes. They might as well have just been tracks on the album, because you can't tell. There's no drop in the quality of the production. They sound perfect. But it's not my favourite album in this set. The one that takes, and this took me by surprise, because the next few albums I wasn't aware of. It's all good. The next one, which is a completely instrumental album. There's a outtake from a Bad Company concert called Hideaway, which is an instrumental track, which kind of doesn't quite fit in with what happens around that track. But this is stunning. This is like Lee Ritenour. This is like it's like, yes, it is like 80s jazz fusion really highly polished production, all instrumental, with this kind of really beautiful raw Les Paul through a Marshall, almost ZZ Top in places. I probably could say here, but it's just fantastic. That's the one that made me think, wow. And it was this album that made me think, I'm so pleased I've got this box set. And I've played it over and over again. So this is the one. This was so new to me, and it was hearing Mick Ralphs play a style of music, and these are all instrumentals as he's written, that I think he could have taken somewhere else, especially listening to it now in isolation without having all that 80s stuff kind of burying it, really. So I have to say, when I put the next one on, That's Life, Can't Get Enough. This is again his kind of home recordings that he made at this period, and this doesn't work so well for me. It sounds like lots of bits and pieces that have been bolted together, and some of them they sound half finished. They don't sound complete or completely well through. There's an outtake from Burning Sky called Budgie, but you wouldn't really associate it with Bad Company. And there's a demo of Can't Get Enough from 1970, which is a historical version of that song. And of course, 1970, Can't Get Enough was called One of the Boys by Mott the Hoople, remember? So that was not as good as the first album, and especially the second one. And the last one, which I thought really was going to blow my socks off, was Should Know Better, live at the Musician, the Mick Ralphs Blues Band. And this, I felt, beautifully recorded. I can't fault anything to do with that. But Mick Ralphs is kind of hidden in the background. He's not the only guitarist. There's Jim Maving playing guitar, slide, vocals. And I thought it was going to be a vehicle for Mick's playing, but it kind of isn't. So that was also a bit disappointing, which is why I said in this summary that should you start here to explore Mick Ralphs as a guitar player, and I can't say yes to that. If you are a fan of Mick Ralphs and you're a fan of Mott the Hoople, you're a fan of Bad Company, all lineups of Bad Company, then yes, this box set is an important part of the jigsaw for you being a Mick Ralphs fan and enjoying his music, and especially the second album and the first one, to be fair. I think the first one was just buried, though they all were, but the third and fourth albums in this are a little bit hit and miss for me. I mean, let me know what you think in the comments. I could be wildly off track there, but am I pleased to have it? I am, especially for those first two albums. Mick Ralphs, as many of you know, he had a stroke a few years ago, so it's unlikely he's ever going to play guitar again. And so this is an important part of his story. A great player, great songwriter, a great band member as well. He played with real taste, economical, and the notes, you could say. I wouldn't really class him as a blues player as such. It's a rock band. Some of the early Mott the Hoople stuff rocks as much as any heavy rock band from the period. And Bad Company, his slide work, the kind of country picking and stuff, his phrasing, a really robust player. And as I say, if you're a fan already, snap this up while it's around. And if you don't know who Mick Ralphs is, check out some Bad Company, Straight Shooter, Dangerous Age, are good places to start. And Mad Shadows or Wildlife, any of the Mott the Hoople albums really, especially the early Island years, would be great. So that is Mick Ralphs on the Run, 1984 to 2013, out now on H&E, Cherry Red Records. And remember, music is the healing of the doctor. Please subscribe, ring that little bell, become a patron, a YouTube member, help support me to make more videos. Take care everybody, keep spinning those discs, and I shall see you very, very soon.